lot of the truth networks, and again, I'm going to call them discovery networks because maybe not everything is truth. So we're going to call it discovery now. You need to discover if it's a truth for you or if it's not. But a lot of these discovery networks have been discussing this quantum financial system. And yes, there are two quantum financial systems that have been developed. And as long as you understand that, of course, in the good and the bad side, and AI and everything else that has come into light, they are giving you the falsehood that this quantum financial system that, according to them, started September 1st, I think it is, if you go through those channels, and the implementation into the banking system and all the other things that they're speaking of, has already been done. And if you want to take a look at that link, Jesse.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. China's digital currency electronic payment project reveals the good and the bad of central bank digital currencies.
First thing you need to take a look at is who is discussing this. The Atlantic Council.
Okay.
The Atlantic Council is like the Foreign Relations or the Trilateral Commission.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Or the World Economic Forum, or UNESCO, or the World Health Organization. Now you're getting an idea of what the Atlantic Council is.
Yeah.
The Atlantic Council is a lot of private contractors and businesses, but it's all affiliated into the same thing. So if you take a look at that date, Monday, August 24th, 2020, remember that September 1st quantum financial system thing they were talking about?
Yeah.
The one that all the discovery channels, and people were discussing as the great reset and the good financial system change.
Can you send a link of that? So yes, this is something that everyone was speaking about, but in not realizing that it was actually bad.
Right. So if in that article, they will tell you that 83% of all transactions done in China since 2018 are through mobile devices.
I see, and there's actually a map here that shows that China's in its pilot phase, so is Ukraine and Sweden.
Yeah.
France is in development, United Kingdom's in research, USA is in research, Canada's in development, Brazil's in development, Chile in research, South Africa in development, Australia research, New Zealand research, and Russia research. Wow, okay. Egypt inactive, India inactive, Morocco inactive, and all these African countries don't seem to be there besides Ghana, which is in research, and Senegal, which is cancelled. Interesting.
So the digital wallet ID, which came into effect in March in the United States, because it was in the CARES Act, in March in the United States, and the talk about digitalization of currency and all of that fun stuff, that the talk that has come in that has brought so many people into that excitement, thinking that, this is that financial system, this is the good thing, the good thing, the good thing. China has a quantum system, guys. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but Google uses D-Wave. Is Google on the good side or the bad side? Which one would you say it is?
The bad side, of course.
Of course, right? Their quantum computer has been in effect for about 10 years. I think I think in our conversation we discussed that it was 2013 that they announced it, but it's been about 10 years for sure. So I'm going to send you another link here. So this is the Atlantic Council telling you that this digital currency, remember, China is the playground for everything, right? AI, surveillance, concentration camps, forced vaccination, slave labor, enslavement, all the things that everybody's like, oh, no, China's not a good thing. That's yeah. Which you have
This
to
article
put.
says digital currency, electronic payments, a brief interpretation helping freshmen grasp the central bank's digital currency DCEP. On the afternoon of May 11th, 2020, invited by Shenzhen Information Service Blockchain Association and Million Finance, Zhu Chao, founder of Hashi Technology, attended the current Shenzhen Blockchain Week online, telling about DCEP and the new era of industrial blockchain.
So you just said central bank digital currency system.
Yeah,
Is the central bank the good guys or the bad guys?
bad guys, of course.
And DCEP is China? And
Yeah.
a digital system that would be able to handle those currency transactions the way that they are discussing is a quantum financial system.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what they're actually describing in this is actually a quantum financial system. I see.
What you have to, this is where that whole, conversation is coming into place. Because again, everyone has been promoting this QFS and, digital currency is good and we're going to go into this and revaluation is going to happen and, all this other fun stuff. And it's like, well, which quantum financial system are you promoting? Because the US government, now keep in mind, anything that you see as being introduced has already been done. Okay, they're letting you know when it's already been done and in place, right? So when they're telling you that, we're introducing this concept, no, the concept's already proven. They're just introducing you to the idea of it. Concept's already proven. They're not going to report what they're working on, they're going to report what's already been done. So the central banks and the DECP, or DCEP, sorry, DCEP, basically was created. August, it was implemented in China, and in September, everyone was speaking of this grand QFS, apparently the good one, right? The grand QFS. And oh, look, the Central Bank of London was down for a little while. What do you think they were doing? Oh, they're bringing in the QFS. They're bringing in the QFS. My answer again is, which one? The central bank one that they announced they started in May? The one that they successfully implemented August in China? Or the one that they now have in the Central Bank of England? Because we know that that is the epitome of financial evil, right? It's the financial evil quarters. So if you take a look at the discussions of universal basic income and the stuff coming from the World Economic Forum, take a look at those countries that the Atlantic Council was talking about. And keep in mind that that was an August 24th article. So what may be in research might be in implementation, right?
Yes.
So if we take a look at, well, let's just say for giggles, what countries are currently in lockdown or going into lockdown for the next month? And we'll use Europe as an example. England, Germany, France, Canada's talking about it. What were those countries again in the Atlantic Council that were looking at it? What central?
France is in development, Canada in development.
Now, keep in mind, that was in August, right?
Yeah.
What does development mean?
It's a good question. What does it mean? Cambodia development and oh dear Lord, South Africa development. Damn it, that's my country. Brazil development, of course, Brazil.
The, I swear to God, I hope is this making sense?
Yeah, it's making a lot
Now,
of sense.
now you see why I had to come out of the shadows to start going, oh no, 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 break, 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 break. No, no, no. So if you are looking at what the Great Reset speaks of, then add in this quantum financial system that they are looking at. The first thing that you have to take a look at is, again, who's doing what, right? The U.S. is researching it. Well, that's because the powers that be want to do it, but they have to, of course, eliminate the pesky president and his alliance that's going to prevent that from happening, because he's already said, we're not into globalism. Sorry, not going to happen.
And it's crazy. There's even a picture here on this website that shows a chart of the central bank. Literally, they've just consolidated everything. So this is why it actually requires a quantum financial system, because of the processing power required in order to be able to do this.
Right. But whose quantum financial system? Certainly not the one that all those discovery people have been touting around and saying, hey, the good thing's on, we're on, we're on, it's happening, it's happening. I don't think this is the right one, guys. But you know what happens when all of your money goes into a locked blockchain? If you take a look at that article that I sent you,
Okay.
that talks about the central banking system, the digital currency electronic payment, brief interpretation.
Yeah.
If you take a look and scroll down, they're telling you in secrecy, they're not going to say who the owner field is. It's right after the diagram. So you scroll down, they
The
have the
first
picture
diagram, where it says if we decrypt the DCEP string, we can further see its data structure, which consists of a number of different fields, where the number, amounts, and issuer signature are similar to the banknote number, face value, and bank issuer in the banknote. At present, we can understand the bank as a central bank, but in the future, there may be more than one bank with the right to issue banknotes. Wow. In addition, some additional fields have been added. The owner field, which identifies the current holder of DCEP, can be anonymous, but it will correspond to the real user in the central bank's backend system and can determine whether the owner of the currency have the right to make transfers in the dual offline state.
that paragraph right there. The owner field. All your assets, baby. Remember that. Can be anonymous. So if you are a crook, that's awesome. But it can determine whether the owner of the currency has the right to make transfers. So if they won't tell you who has your money and they won't let you transfer it, doesn't that kind of cut you off?
Yeah, that's an easy way to snub anyone out of the picture. Deter their ability to trade.
Kind of that universal benefit that's going to be given to you by a digital currency run by that fantastic quantum financial system. That's good, 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 right?
And what's scary is the promise, the fake promise. It's very alluring for those that are unconscious enough to obviously, feel otherwise.
I'm going to tell you right now, 99% of all of the various channels that I have seen has told you that the great financial reset and the quantum financial system and everything else is a great thing. 99% of the people that people have been listening to are wrong. Wrong. And only this week, kind of after we started discussing it, apparently everyone's catching on. Maybe not what you're thinking about. This is not the unicorn and rainbow. This is a broken down mule and bad Chinese dollar store lights. Not the rainbows and unicorns you're thinking of. But
Yeah, and it was funny because after our release talk last week, straight after that, the Archbishop had written a letter to President Trump warning him about the financial reset. I'd questioned you about the Vatican. We had discussed that they're good and bad in all organizations that have their own level of compartmentalization that allows an elusive, shadowy control construct to exist. But regardless, at least the Archbishop seems to be on the positive side within regards to his comments about the impending danger of this currently proposed quantum financial system, as well as this great reset.
Mm-hmm. I just need everyone to sit back and go, all of the things that they have talked about, the removal of debt, well, when the constructive fraud is brought out, your debts get removed, right?
Yeah, of course.
When you have arrested all of the jokes and blokes and everyone who's done wrong and take down the governments that have been corrupt and all of the money laundering and the evilness and all the things that they've done for the thousands of years they've been at it, we can create a new financial system, because I think we just determined that this is not a good financial system. Correct?
Yeah.
So, is there a good quantum financial system? Yes. Is it something, and this is the thing that I wanted to express to everyone. You do not merge with the bad guys. You remove the bad guys and you replace.
This is the thing. People are excited for systematic changes, but are forgetting the fact that there are countless individuals that are not in jail that should be in jail before we can even get anywhere close to the stage of proposing some sort of reset or evolution in the way it is we cooperate here on Earth.
Exactly. Just because you know things are bad does not mean that is the time that you make the change. You have to remove it, dismantle it, deconstruct it, and then give the opportunity for us to build it properly. I can tell you right now, when you all can't even go outside because you're locked down and the government says that you can't leave your house, are you empowered right now to make a change?
Yeah.
Again, that whole chaos. Nobody has ever made a good decision when they are in fear, chaos, uncontrolled situations.
Of course, well, yeah, our limbic system shuts down. It literally neurologically prevents our brain's actual reasoning ability. So, you know, what a tactic, eh?
Exactly. This is that whole. This is not the system that you're thinking of. I'm going to send you another article to explain this, because I think it will just help. These are probably, I guess you could probably put these in the description too, so that they have a chance to read it.
Yeah, I will put all of these links in the description. That's a good idea. Okay, let me see. Let me have a little look here. Great. I'll just read a bit of this. Quantum USA versus Quantum China, the world's most important technology race.
Two systems.
Exactly.
Go on.
And China's leading the one that's actually not even Chinese, because it's a international central banking system.
Well, it is theirs.
It is theirs.
It is theirs. It is their development. They're incorporating it into the central bank systems.
Yeah, well, it is their development, but obviously the people, there's no borders in this, you know, so obviously it's being allowed to be actually used as an international system, correct?
Well, all of the technologies have been proven in China. China has been the blueprint of basically the world they wanted to be. So the implementation, of course, of the changeover of financial systems with China as the blueprint and also the implementation is ultimately to rob the control of quote unquote free nations, right?
Yeah.
It's out of the control of quote unquote free nations. You're now all under communism, socialism, Chinaism, whatever you want to call it. And it's not China the people. Again, this is the CCP, and it's not really the CCP, that's just the political party above it, but it is the larger control structures that are using China as the backbone of experimentation to implementation. So you have to go down to Kazakhstan and the former city that was Astana, and it's a large New World Order globalization situation.
What's
But this
funny is that
article,
the key component countries of that system all seem to be along, obviously, the Belt and Road. But I mean, obviously, this is an international globalist situation, regardless of that.
that's right. So the Chinese is just the Chinese is just the wheels. The China aspect and the secrecy and everything else is because they already have everything oppressed. They're just the wheels that are greasing to get the job done. The larger powers at play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is that China is already using quantum technology, even in their camera systems, their AI systems.
Well,
it's all
they just
running
told
off quantum processing power, isn't it?
over a billion people, 83% of them are using mobile technology. You can't do that without quantum. Their AI, their concentration camps are run by robots. You can't. The article here is telling you that China and US are in the lead, and China is going to overtake and blah blah blah. But what again? Nothing's ever told to you without being announced. And again, Forbes is one of those mainstream media. So they do have to tell you. Universal law tells you they have to tell you, but they don't have to tell you the absolute truth. They just have to tell you. So they're telling you that, IBM, they tell you that Google and Microsoft, now Google and Microsoft, we both know, are not playing for the team. And IBM technically was bought out by a Chinese company 10, 15 years ago, somewhere around there. So in the article, they tell you that our tech giants, IBM, technically owned by China, but only certain things. Google, technically kind of owned by China, and Microsoft, well, Bill Gates will just, we'll go down that whole world domination organization sort of thing. So again, there is a branch of IBM that is still owned by the US, but it is not that technology and everything that they're using there is military, not public corporation. The typical public corporation of IBM is owned by China. Lenovo, right? IBM became Lenovo.
And in this case, we're particularly speaking about IBM's quantum computer, right?
Yes. So D-Wave, if you take a look at D-Wave, which is what Google is using, or what they're telling you they're using, is funded by people like Bezos, because he's on the good side. Take a look at their funding founders and those groups and who belongs to those groups, and then you'll realize that Google's quantum technology, which is doing the AI right now to get an imprint of everyone and everything, and basically report that big gigantic database back to the powers that be, is using quantum technology to do so. So the censorship, the algorithms, they always talk about the algorithms. Like I said in our conversation, it's all related.
So D-Wave, as you just said, is actually also technically owned by China.
Wow. Huh.
But you said there's a section of IBM that's
So
owned by
there's
China, but
IBM.
then there's a section that's owned by the United States.
Yes.
What is the name
So
of IBM's Q quantum computer?
IQ System 1. IBM Q System 1. So IBM, International Business Machines, there is still a faction that is purely US owned, and that is in the military aspect of it. And then, of course, IBM was bought out from a commercial and server and consumer products by Lenovo, which is a Chinese-based company. And forgive me, my brain is not functioning as well as it should today. I'm going to say like 10, 15 years ago. Like 10 years ago, maybe. I don't know. I'm so old, time sort of flies. But so Lenovo was certain factions of IBM that was taken over by China. But there still is a IBM, and certain factions of that was not taken over, and the majority of that was Department of Energy military based. And that is the other quantum financial system that they're speaking of here in this Forbes conversation about quantum USA and quantum China. I just really wanted to let everybody know when they were talking about the QFS enacting in September 1st, and, oh, look, all these banks are hooking up to it, and, you know, this is great. And I'm like, which quantum financial system are they hooking up to, people? Go back, look, put on the brakes, right?
So, just so people know, in terms of the quantum computing, it uses superposition and entanglement in order to access exponential levels of processing power, which is known as quantum supremacy, which is inevitably where all computing power is leading towards. In fact, to this very day, you can actually use cloud-based quantum computing solutions that can allow you to experiment in quantum code, which affords you the ability of extremely high processing power that can be utilized to do all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
And all this time, quantum computing has actually been used against us without our knowledge. Within the algorithms that we see a lot today, as well as the technologies we're unaware of in a lot of the devices we use that use quantum code, and I'm assuming lend off the power of cloud, right? Is that how they do it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how they do it, isn't it? And then that cloud-based exponential processing power allows them to, mass censorship, but most particularly completely influence our thinking patterns, because they also use quantum computing power to predict certain parallel outcomes based on the information inputted into the programming. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. And they modify, right? So if they put out this idea and they get this backlash, they modify and massage, the interpretation of it to still get the idea through, but learning how we react to know how they present. Kind of like telling everybody that this great QFS system is coming out, and this is the good one, and we're, any day now, like let's have it happen right now.
So these are these quantum algorithms that they use, that are algorithms built in to take large amounts of data and make sense of them.
Mm-hmm. It's learning. It's artificial intelligence.
Conceptually, how do you structure such an algorithm? Because quantum code is very mathematically based, calculus, algebra, as well as trigonometry. How would you? What sort of data would you? What sort of constraints would you create within the functions being used to do these sort of things?
Well, the most important thing for it to do is to learn the person, right? So data profiling. is huge. If anyone is looking as to why they're doing what they're doing, how they're doing, and what the implementation goes into it, they really need to take a look at things like UNESCO and the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum and the large globalist, and take a look at what they're pushing and how they're pushing it, and then bring it back to their day-to-day reality that they're experiencing now or that they're trying to push through. Lockdowns prevent schooling. Magically, there was a schooling system for remote learning that has been implemented to all those poor children in order to be able to learn. Where did that come from? Who created that? What is that linked to? How do you control a generation? Well, you start when they're young and indoctrinate them in schooling. So lockdowns allow them to start global education initiatives, similar to a Great Reset, similar to, again, you have to start taking a look at all the aspects of the things they're changing and why it would be global. And then you'll start understanding where they're infiltrating.